Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Losses Above Replacement, the greatest baseball podcast to grace your ears. I'm today's host, Mathias Kurosaki, and with me, as always, we have my amazing co-hosts, Alex Clark and Ryan Splash Potts. Gentlemen, first things first, how are we doing on this fine Monday afternoon?
Doing real good over here, Boulder. The Boulder Collegians have been on an absolute tear. I'll talk more about them a little bit later. But no, other than that, having a good time here. Actually went up to, I think it was called Breckenforge or something like that. It's a ski resort over here in Colorado. And they have a free gondola ride to and from like the main area. And so had a really good day yesterday. We went over. There's a troll there named Isaac that's apparently part of this huge famous collection. When visited him, went over, saw a really beautiful landscape here, got ourselves a beer, watched a Mariner ball game, and had ourselves a mighty fine time.
Fun times. I've had an adventurous week. My coworkers at work don't do anything, which is alarming, and people are weird, and karma is a thing. But you know what? I saw Inside Out 2 Saturday evening with my cousins. Pretty solid movie. Hit me right in the embarrassment feels. If you've seen the movie, you understand. So solid movie, and I wish I could have seen Garfield, but I kind of planned the wrong time to go see Garfield. So shout out to Lasagna, shout out to my mom, and happy birthday to my dad on Wednesday.
Yeah, so happy birthday, Mr. Potts. What's it called?
Mr.
Splash, actually. Yeah,
Mr. Splash, the negative first.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the zeroth, yes.
The zeroth, yeah. By the way, Alex, having been to Colorado, the scenery's unreal out there.
It's fantastic.
My sister lives in Denver. It's whenever we visit her, we have to go on some type of hike or go to some type of trail. It's
the only thing I'm still trying to learn to deal with is still the lack of air. Here. Yesterday when we were at the top of the ski resort, it was legitimately 13,000 feet above sea level.
Yep.
And breathing was hard.
Yeah. Especially when you're sick. The last time I was in
fair.
Colorado, I was really sick.
Oof.
Yeah, I've tried working out at altitude before, and I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna get back to sea level, and it's gonna feel like nothing all of a sudden.
It's gonna feel perfect when I go back to Seattle.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, I am going to Indianapolis on Wednesday to compete at Masters Nationals, and on Saturday night I get to go to a session of Olympic trials, so that's going to be awesome. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit of a gimmick in my opinion to put nationals in the same city during the same week as Olympic trials, but while the lodging cost was exorbitant for almost everybody, I'm actually quite thrilled. It means we get to go watch Olympic trials in a football stadium, by the way.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. Oh my God. I at first I was like, what in the world are they doing putting a swimming pool in a football stadium? And I've been pleasantly surprised at how it's looked. So that's going to be exciting.
Especially since now you got a huge coliseum to basically work with.
Yeah, exactly. You can get 30,000 people into that pool. Other than that, I mean, the Mets have been unstoppable ever since Grimace showed up. Maybe
you are now Grimace's best friend.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But anyways, there's been a lot of baseball to talk about. I mean, there's some tight division races, some tight wild card races, and let's start with one of them. We have a new segment called Die on the Hill, where we're gonna have some discussion topics, and we're gonna state our claims on what we think will happen. We're gonna start in the American League East, and man, this feels a lot like the 2022 NL East race. Very little margin for error. Two of the best teams in baseball going at it, the Yankees and the Orioles. It seems like they've already distanced themselves from the pack. I do not see the Red Sox getting close in this race. I don't see the Rays or the Blue Jays getting close. So let's start out this segment here. Who do you guys think wins the AL East? Orioles, Yanks? Maybe some weird magic happens and the Red Sox win it. What do you guys think?
I'll go first on this one here. I think personally that the Orioles are going to take it. Like looking at this right now, both teams are stupidly good. Don't get me wrong. Like both teams are so good, but when you take a look at what I kind of feel when it comes on this of who is the more consistent team, in my opinion, the team that is built for more longevity is the Orioles. The Yankees have a lot of great pieces here. They have pretty good, dang good pitching. They've got some really good hitters. But all it takes for the Yankees to fall down is Aaron Judge not playing out at an unreal pace. We saw what was happening at the beginning of this year. Here, that when he wasn't playing great, we weren't talking much about the Yankees. Now that he's playing great, we're talking even more about them. So with the Orioles, I feel like they have more pieces that work out well for them. So my bet here is going to go with the Orioles.
So first off, these teams are playing a series beginning tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You have Suarez, Cortez, Povich, Cole, and then Irvin, Heel. So I think that series will go a long way to asserting like who's the dominant force. I think the Orioles did get bailed out a little bit in their first matchup because that was right before like the series before Judge started going bananas. But I'm going to have to disagree with you, Alex. I think this Yankees team was good in April. They were 15-12 in April, and they had a 4-0 month sweeping the Astros in March. So they were 19-12 heading into May. They've played at a even higher winning percentage since then, 31-12. And I don't think it's all Judge being like the best player since Barry Bonds or anything. This is a talented lineup, and Anthony Rizzo notwithstanding, there are a lot of good players that are productive at the dish. And you have a good season from Juan Soto, of course. And you have Anthony Volpe, who's been an above average player, and Jose Trevino, who's been an above average offensive player at least. And I still think Gleyber Torres can turn it around. Giancarlo Stanton, we'll talk about him a little later. Still hits for power, doesn't do a whole lot else, but still hits for power. And I think the Yankees are the team in the American League East geared to win the division. I think there's a reason they're the favorite. I think there's a reason they are like the clear betting favorite, not just like they're plus 100 or whatever. They're, minus 220 on DraftKings, minus 340 on FanDuel. I think that's for a reason. And I think this is a very good team, and they're getting back Garrett Cole. And that was the concern heading into the season was what are they going to do without Cole? Well, Nestor Cortez has a 3.59 ERA. Carlos Rodon has a 3.28 ERA. Stroman a 3.08 ERA. Heel a 2.03 ERA. When Clark Schmidt was healthy, a 2.52 ERA. I have questions about Baltimore. They are coming into this series. They're not throwing Burns. Bradish is down again. And they're throwing Cole Irvin, who's fine. And they're throwing Albert Suarez, who, as much as I love his story, he's a fine pitcher. If you're making a Yankees-Orioles rotation, it's Burns and 4 Yankees. Like if you're making a Orioles-Yankees combined bullpen, who's the closer? It's Clay Holmes. And while Clay Holmes has some issues, I guess, and people don't like Clay Holmes for some reason, and he has a 1.3 whip because he walks the occasional guy, but he's awesome, man. 1.8 ERA so far this season, and Yankees Files always points out that he's a lower OPS allowed as a Yankee than Mariano Rivera. That's pretty good. So does Dylan Betances, by the way. So shout out to him. So I would lean with the Yankees here. I think the Yankees win the division by 3 games. That's how I'm dying on this hill.
So this is incredibly tough to decide because I think from an offensive standpoint, I trust the Orioles a bit more. They're a bit more balanced. You look at their starting lineup, and everyone except for Cedric Mullins has an OPS plus over 100. Heck, I mean, yeah, Rutschman at 133, Mountcastle at 126, Henderson at 174, Westberg at 140. Colton Cowser, even with his recent slump, is at 122. Santander's at 129. That's with a slow start. 134 for Ryan O'Hearn. Austin Hayes has been heating up ever since he came back from the IL. Pitching-wise, I definitely give the Yankees the advantage, and I don't think it's particularly close here. Corbin Burns is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Grayson Rodriguez is pretty good, but I don't think you can rely on Cole Irvin and Albert Suarez necessarily to get you through a postseason series or get you to the end of the season. I expect the the Orioles to be very aggressive at the trade deadline. They have so much position player talent that they can afford to trade guys. I need to see more out of Cade Povich too. That's the thing.
I've heard a lot of rumors about Baltimore trying to snipe a big starting pitcher, as well as a few other ones, including actually, again, not to always make it about the Mariners, but I've heard some trade talks about Orioles and Mariners, considering that the Mariners' biggest strength is their starting pitching, and the biggest strength for the Orioles is their position players.
Yeah, that's the thing is the Orioles' bullpen in general is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And the Yankees bullpen is also pretty good. So I feel like they're about even in the bullpen department. And trust me, I know every Orioles fan was calling for Craig Kimbrell's head in the middle of last month, but he's been fantastic lately, actually. He hasn't allowed an earned run since everyone was claiming for him to get DFA'd. So I think, the Yankees definitely have the advantage in the starting pitching department. And we talked about Garrett Crochet a couple episodes ago about, potentially him getting traded. I think that if there's one team that I could see dealing for Crochet, it's Baltimore. They have the depth to do it. Picking long-term who's going to win the division, like I said earlier, this feels a lot like Mets and Braves from a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. The margin for error, it feels like these teams almost never lose on the same day. It felt like the Yankees maybe had a shot to pull away. And then they lost those 2 games to the Red Sox while the Orioles beat the Phillies twice. I'm going to go with the Orioles, but it's going to come down to the wire. I think this is decided by at most 2 games. I could easily see it going the other way. But I think long-term for the season, I got to go with Baltimore. The Yankees are great, though. This is not to take away anything from them. Aaron Judge is great. Soto's great. They have a lot of talent in their roster.
Definitely. No, like I said, I think overall that both teams are stupidly good, but legitimately this will come down to the last week before October. That's where this is going to be decided at. And legitimately, game 162 might be the ultimate decider here.
Yeah, obviously, like Splash was saying, there's a big series this week in New York. And with Garrett Cole coming back, this is... And the Yankees are favored here. I think justifiably, based on the pitching matchups. The Orioles are not throwing their 3 best starters out there, but I like this a lot for the Yankees, I think. But if I'm looking at the schedule. So these teams do face each other the last week of the season. They have 3 games in New York from September 24th to 26th. This is going to be a lot like that Mets-Braves series at the end of the season. Couple years ago.
Is that one in Baltimore or in New York?
This is in New York. So they have last month, or not, I guess it wasn't last month anymore. It was the end of April. The Orioles took 3 of 4 in Baltimore. Now we have this 3-game series. Then in July, last series before the All-Star break, 3 in Baltimore. Then 3 September 24th to 26th in New York. So yeah, it's going to be a lot. I know that my one of my good friends is a Yankee fan. He's moving to Baltimore actually this summer, so that's gonna, I'm sure, go well for him. But this is a great rivalry for baseball. I think both these teams are really exciting.
I love it when you have rivalries that are legitimately fully based on talent, not even so much history. When you just know that you're going to see the absolute highest level of baseball, and it is going to be between 2 teams that it's going to come down to who wants it more.
Exactly. So let's move on to
who would you guys say is the best rivalry in? Who would you guys say is the best rivalry right now?
Talent-wise, history-wise, because history-wise,
right now, that's what I would say. I know the Red Sox aren't quite as good as they had been, and I know that loses some of its luster, but it's still Yankees Sox at the end of the day. It's like Bears Packers. It's like that has to be top 3 at minimum.
No, 100%.
Because I don't know if Yankees Orioles on paper is all right, yeah, that's big rivalry, but Yankees Sox, I think still is number 1.
you say rivalry and the word baseball together, and you immediately
Yankee Sox. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's got the most history. It's got the most talent.
Exactly.
I think it's got to be Yankee Sox. But anyway, let's move on to our second topic, which is the madness or lack of madness that is the National League wild card race. To be completely blunt, it's a lot of mediocrity. you look up and look. I remember when the Mets fell 11 games below 500 at the end of last month, and thinking like, "Oh my God, there's no way they recover from this." Well, fast forward about 3 weeks almost, and the Mets are still listed third from the bottom record-wise in the National League, but they are only a game and a half out of the wild card spot. So this is an absolute mess. Who do you guys have taking the second and third wild card spots? Because I think it's pretty clear the Braves, despite their struggles, will take the top wild card spot.
The Nuke will take both of them. There will be no other teams from
Honestly,
the
this is
National
like
League that will make it.
This is a situation where I'm like, maybe I'm good going back to the old format where there's only one wild card.
It kind of feels like that one, doesn't it? I mean, okay, so looking at this list right here, honestly, what I'm seeing on this is that, the Braves are going to get the first one. Yeah, that's not too much of contention at this moment. There's some really fun team ideas here. And I think for me, the most fun is the Nationals. I would love to see the Nationals back in, and apparently so do our Twitter users, as that was basically one of our most hyped up tweets in a while.
Yeah.
There. So again, thank you to all Nats fans that watch us. But no, legit, just kind of looking up at it here, the 35 and 36 in a very interesting division. Again, where you have the Braves, Phillies, Mets, all this kind of fun stuff. And yet there's not a lot else really going on there. Plus, also, you may still get some free games there with the Miami Marlins at this point. So, not 100% sure on this one, but I think overall I would take the Nationals, honestly. I want to see them get the second wild card. And then the third, I am not sure what the Diamondbacks' plan is right now. They've already said that they're looking at potentially selling on this season already, and they're only half a game out of a wild card. I'm going to go with the Reds. I think the Reds have some of the most interesting talent. Especially, I would love to see postseason Ellie De La Cruz. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think postseason Ellie De La Cruz is adding electricity onto electricity.
Yeah, I think you make a great point with the Reds. I think the Reds are probably the best true talent team. The Padres are probably the best true talent team, but they are incapable of playing more than 3 games above or below 500. So, like I said at the beginning of this season, I think the Reds are the best, the most of this group are the most volatile. They could win 75 games. They could also win 85 games, and I wouldn't be overly shocked if they overtook the Brewers. If I had to pick one of these teams to win its division, it would have to be an NL Central team, and I think the Reds would be the correct answer. So I think the Reds grab a spot, and vibes-wise, I would want to see the Pirates. I want to see Skeens. I want to see Jones. I want to see that in a playoff series. And we had a tweet the other day that Mackenzie Gore, game 1 of a wild card series, would be gnarly. Gun to my head, I would take the Reds and the Padres. I think the Padres are going to be just good enough to hold the fort. Fernando Tatis has been heating up. Maybe Machado getting ejected and getting swept by the Mets will, kickstart something. I don't know. This is the same Padres team that's been 500 the last 10 years, but I would go Padres and Reds. I think the Padres have their bullpen figured out with Estrada and
Suarez.
He's
been fantastic.
Pretty good rotation if you're not grooving fastballs to Dylan Cease or grooving fastballs to Pete Alonso from Dylan Cease. That was one of the worst pitches of all time. At least it wasn't Adam Wainwright 88 down the middle to Ronald, but regardless, so I would go Padres and Reds.
Yeah, so watching the Padres this weekend, you see the talent there. They need Machado to get going. Watching him this series, he just did not look like himself. And, it was that ejection was probably frustration boiling over. To be fair, I understand the ball was low, but him slamming the bat and getting in the umpire's face, like that feels like, him just, releasing all of his frustrations. And the Padres came into that series riding high, off that sweep of the A's, but they looked kind of flat. Being completely honest, everyone except for Jackson Merrill looked like they were cold. Fernando Tatis struck out 4 times on Sunday afternoon, including, with basically the game on the line. They were, first and third, 2 out. They had scored 4 runs in the inning to make it 7-6, 2-0 count, and he gets a slider down the middle, and he just swings out of his shoes and misses it entirely, and then he fouls back another hittable pitch, and then he swings and misses at a cutter. He is a great player, don't get me wrong, but they need their stars to gel to make the playoffs. That being said, of these teams, I think that they have the highest ceiling. They're on paper, they have a ton of talent. So I'm going to go with the Padres too. I think the Padres get the second wild card spot. Picking a third wild card, I mean, the thing is, you look at all these teams and you say it stays this close at the trade deadline. If you're a team that's under 500, but you're within striking distance of a wild card spot, do you buy? Do you sell? Because, the Mets right now, I feel like, are still in position to be sellers at the deadline. I mean, what do you do here? So I feel like the Nationals are still going to be sellers. I think the Pirates are going to be sellers. I think there's a non-zero chance the Cubs are sellers. So when it's all said and done, and I also agree that the Cardinals should be selling, considering their aging roster and their kind of middling farm system. So I think I'm going to go with the Reds also as the last wild card spot. As much as I want to pick the Mets, I feel like it wouldn't be wise for them to try to go for it, really. And I think as funny as it'd be to see a 500 or a sub 500 team in the playoffs, I can't see it happening. So I'm going to go. Yeah, going to go. Obviously, Braves top wild card spot, Padres second wild card spot, Reds third wild card spot. Any other thoughts on this? Yep.
I want to talk about the Cubs for a minute, and the Mets kind of play into this. That your stars aren't quite hitting like stars necessarily, besides Francisco Lindor, and you've had bullpen issues mainly in the ninth inning with Edwin Diaz, and then the revolving door of Cubs relievers that always like to blow games.
Yeah.
So I think the Cubs and the Mets
similar.
are probably better than the 12th and 13th best teams in the National League. And I think over the course of a full 162, they could be better. I do think the Mets not having Kodai Senga at the moment and not for the indeterminate future, that still hurts their upside. And that hurts if I'm looking at these teams from a playoff viability standpoint, if I'm ranking them, who's the most likely to beat the Braves, who's the most likely to beat the Brewers. I think the Mets, other than being Mets and Cubs being rivals to those teams, the Mets are probably one of the lower teams on the list. Now, if it's Mets Braves, I'd still be terrified because of how the last couple years have gone. But I don't know. I think the Mets could play their way back into it. You have Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso, JD Martinez, and Starling Marte, who is one of the worst outfielders I've ever seen all of a sudden. And Brandon Nimmo, and it's in theory Jeff McNeil, but I could also see the Mets selling and trying to boost up the farm system because I know that's a Steve Cohen, David Stearns thing that they want to be competitive 25, 26, 27 moving on.
Yeah.
They have talented farm hands. It's just not quite like Brewers or Orioles, Dodgers.
The thing is, you have guys like Alonso and Martinez and Severino and Minaya who are all pending free agents and all have enough value where you can get something back for them, especially Severino, in my opinion. But yeah, that's the thing is, I feel like they're playing great right now. They've won 5 in a row, so I think there's a chance to get back. Maybe you snag a wild card spot, but I'm not necessarily comfortable with the roster they have right now. I think the wise thing to do, because they have Christian Scott and Jose Butto in the minors right now, I think the wise thing to do, I know this guy just got the win yesterday and pitched all right, but Jose Quintana, I think, should be I think, his days are numbered on the team, and it'd be wise for them to just call up the kids. So
Agreed.
Let's move on. We've one last segment here, and unfortunately, Mookie Betts has a fractured hand and will be out for an extended period of time, leaving the National League MVP race kind of wide open. So, guys, who do you see winning the National League MVP award now that I think the guy who's probably the front runner is out for a while?
Well, there's a number of names that go through here. There's one very big name that I think a lot of people like to have. It's definitely not who Splash is pointing at right now, but his name does make sense. I mean, honestly, look, here's the thing: it tracks. That's the thing is it makes sense for Marcell Ozuna to be on there, considering the fact that right now of qualified hitters, he's leading OPS right now in the only one at over 1,000 right now. 1,006 of qualified hitters. Ohtani's right after him, 976, and then Jurickson Profar at 912. I'm going, and I'm not going to explain too much on this. I'll keep this fairly short. With how it's playing right now, and if it continues on this way, I'm going Profar. I think Jurickson Profar actually has a legitimate shot at this point, and it comes down to two things. One, the hitting's been good, but very good. But two is the fact that he's playing regular defense as well. I think that adds to the case a bit more. As much as I want, I think that Shohei Ohtani is the best overall player right now in the National League. And I think Marcell Ozuna is the hottest player right now in the National League. I think the good balancing point between them right now is Profar because the defense gives him an edge.
That was not the name I was expecting you to say. This is a goofy one, man. I do not know how I feel about a traditional designated hitter winning the MVP. I think there's been times in the past that you've had an argument for some Edgar seasons, Travis Hafner season, David Ortiz seasons, but it does feel weird to me that it's like when pitchers win MVPs. Especially relievers. I don't really vibe with it. So as much as I think Marcell Ozuna has been the most influential player on wins and losses in the National League this season, through yesterday, he led in win probability added, championship win probability added, all of those context-based stats and some context-independent stats like OPS plus and the run expectancy matrix. It's tough for me to justify picking Ohtani or Ozuna. And yes, I know Marcell Ozuna is not winning the MVP. They're not going to do that. He could set the home run record and you pick someone else to vote for. I understand. I get it. So I think you can exclude Ozuna. Ohtani is just like a unicorn of a player, just even his hitting profile, just a unique DH that when you talked about Ortiz or Martinez or Hafner and these other DH types, it's just with the bat. And I can understand, okay, well, just with the bat, it's tough to be the best player in the league. But Ohtani brings the base running element that's a plus for him. And he's going to, steal some bases and take the extra base and, produce some electricity on the base path. So I think it's fair for him to be the favorite. I would not pick him at the moment. Of course, I would pick Marcell Ozuna at the moment, but I know that's not going to happen. Rest of season, this is not exactly a fun conversation to have without Betts, because at least with Betts, you could bank on he's either going to play shortstop at a mediocre level and hit great for a shortstop, or move him to second or move him to right field, and he'd be a better version of himself, I think, because he'd be good defensively again. Because he's been below average at shortstop, which fair enough.
I don't think he should be a shortstop going forward.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know if it's bad enough to justify putting a no bat player Miguel Rojas there, but this is a team that's floated out like Bo Bichette trade, although Bo Bichette's not much of an upgrade defensively. There are people that have the pie in the sky for Francisco Lindor, although I don't think that should happen.
There's approximately zero chance that happens. I'm just going to put it out there now. That's not happening.
Yeah. So if I had to bet, and if you're watching on YouTube, I have the odds pulled up. If you're watching on the podcast, check out the YouTube page. Or listening to the podcast. I think Fernando Tatis is a reasonable bet. You have the elite defense, you have the elite tools. So if I'm betting on a player who is playing at an all-star level right now to take that next step, like he did in 2021. I think Fernando Tatis would be my pick. Of course, he was my preseason pick, so I am confirming my priors a little bit. But elite defense and the crazy power speed. So I think you have the path for him to be the MVP. And I think you have, unless Ohtani or Ozuna, or even Harper for that matter, have like a 200 OPS plus season, or like just go absolutely bananas. Like if Marcell Ozuna wins the Triple Crown, it's going to be tough to not vote for a Triple Crown winner. I know we went through this with the Cabrera and Trout 10 years ago, but like it's tough to not.
I remember that.
Yeah. If he does win the Triple Crown, there's no chance he does not win the MVP.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Like, I don't care. Like, here's the thing. Like, I understand your argument about the no DHs winning it, but at the same time, DH is just as valuable a position at this point. Like, the only reason why I gave Profar the edge over the other DHs was because defense does add to it. But if your bat is overwhelmingly adding on to all of this, then yeah, thank you, Slash. I appreciate that.
Hey, it's good odds.
It is good odds, yeah. But here's the thing: is that if your bat is legitimately that good to the point where you are winning every offensive category by it, then yeah, you are the most valuable player.
So it's interesting because
a matter of how big the gap is, right?
Yeah.
So like the gap right now between Ozuna and Ohtani, to me, is not big enough to like justify that, right? So the WAR gap, right? The WAR, like when you go Ohtani versus Ozuna. So I agree that the sports talk Atlanta people, I just fundamentally disagree with some of their arguments they're making, even though Ozuna has been a better hitter this season.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you value, it depends on how much you value defense. And I mean, you look at Baseball Reference, and the leader among National League players is Ketel Marte, 4.0 wins above replacement on Baseball Reference. All right, great. But he also has a considerably lower OPS. It's an 852, which is solid. He's a 143 OPS plus, which is around where he was when he was an MVP candidate in 2019. He was a 149 that year. I personally am going to go with Ohtani. I think, yes, he is a DH, but, he's a guy who could be a 30-30 guy. He's 19 homers, 15 steals right now. He tears the cover off the ball. If now with Betts out, he is, he's going to be more is going to be expected of him going forward with Betts out. And now, it's went from Betts, Ohtani, Freeman to just Ohtani and Freeman. And I don't know who's going to bat lead off.
Don't forget about Will Smith.
And obviously Will Smith
has been awesome this season.
Yeah, Teo's been great.
Yeah, he's been very good too. And so like my question for the Dodgers is who bats lead off going forward, because Betts seemed like the easy pick. I know that he hadn't hit for as much power lately, but he's tough to replace. I mean, he's going to be out for probably a couple months, and we'll see how the Dodgers do with that. But
here's a legitimate question as well, real quick on this one. So normal Triple Crown is batting average, home runs, RBIs, right?
RBIs, correct.
Yeah. So it's theoretically possible at this point that Ohtani, with how fast he's been, could legitimately win the quadruple crown.
It's possible.
Point.
Yes.
It's not likely because I think there's.
Are you talking like steals?
Yes, steals.
Ellie De La Cruz would have to get hit by a bus.
Okay, that's
actually
like
I'm looking at it. 36.
He's 10 clear of Bryce Turang, and Bryce Turang is 11 clear of Ohtani.
Okay, fair enough. I'm saying that it's still technically a legitimate possibility.
No,
but
I'm sorry.
It's not going to happen.
If Ellie gets hit by a bus, maybe. If Bryce Turang gets hit by a bus, Ohtani's just not going to run enough. It's
the only way I could see it possibly happening or seeing anyone take De La Cruz down is if he for some reason gets sent to the minors. And I understand he's leading the majors in strikeouts, so like that would be the only way. Like, say he struggles so badly he needs to get sent to the minors. I don't see it happening.
I could, but if Ellie stopped playing today, I don't think Ohtani would catch him in steals. Let me put it that way.
No, I expect him to be around 30 or so. And
I could see a 40-30 season for Ohtani.
Yeah, which would be insane, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Worthy of MVP consideration.
Yeah, I mean, it's the National League. It's like I feel like in the American League, there's like 5-6 guys who we've spoken about, and in the National League, it's like it's a tight race too, but it's not. I don't know what the word for it would be. It's
Like
it's
none of
not
these guys
as
feel like MVPs.
yeah, exactly.
Like okay,
yeah,
Ohtani as a two-way player, okay, fine. Harper, fine.
100%.
Tatis, I think, is one of the most talented players in the sport. Okay, fine. Freddie Freeman has won one before. Then like Marcell Ozuna to me is not an MVP level player. I know he's been awesome. He's not an MVP level player. William Contreras, Ketel Marte, Mookie is of course aside because he's hurt now. Ellie, I think, can one day be an MVP level player. Just right now, maybe not. It's like in the American League, I can see Gunnar Henderson winning MVPs, Bobby Witt winning MVPs, Soto winning MVPs. Judge has already won one.
Yeah.
Just Kyle Tucker, I think, is probably like a 1B sort of player so far, but he's been awesome this year. Jose Ramirez is an MVP level player. It's just, I don't know. The National League's been weird because you look at last year's voting and 3 of the top 5 are now injured. Acuna's out for the year. Betts is out until probably September. If I know Jeff Snyder from Locked On Dodgers was comparing it to Corey Seager's hand injury when he got hit on the hand. That was about a 2-month recovery, and then he went bananas in October. So if you're having that timeline, and the Dodgers aren't, if I'm the Dodgers, I'm not pressing like, we need bets, we need bets. You're up 10 games in the division. You're going to be up 10 games in next week. So I'd relax, get like load management, if you will, and maybe take an extra week here, Mookie. I know Mookie wants to play. I respect the heck out of that, but he's one of the best 3-5 players in baseball. I'm not going to press Mookie back in.
Yeah. Well, speaking of teams with the big lead, though, Alex's Seattle Mariners have the largest division lead in baseball, 8.5 games after sweeping the Rangers this weekend. What more can I say about them? They're 11-4 this month. They've won 16 of their last 21 games. Alex, just take me through, your mind as a Mariners fan. How are you feeling about this team?
I was just bouncing. If those that are watching the YouTube VOD of this could just see I was just bouncing thinking about it. No, it's awesome. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's stressful because legitimately almost a lot of those wins are one-run games.
17-7 in one-run games, best record
Seattle
in baseball.
has been excellent in one-run games, which is fantastic. But one-run games do not give you not a lot of reassurance. It's good to see that your team
margin
can get
for
it
error.
Done. Exactly. It's good to see that your team can get it done when it matters most. But the offense still worries me. The offense right now still has had a lot of issues. And it has become something that if you score more than 3 runs in a game, it almost feels like you made a mistake. And that's like you should be scoring more runs in a game, but it just doesn't feel like you should be with how good this offense has been. Like, don't get me wrong. I love seeing that J.P. Crawford has been trying to work it back, although he's in a bit of a slump also at the moment. Tyler Locklear has come in for Ty France, who has a hairline fracture in his field. And Locklear has played amazing baseball in the short time that he's been up here. Already has a couple of home runs as well as some really good defense here. But again, it all comes down to the starting pitching. The starting pitching has been perfect. It has needed to be perfect. When you are in one-run games and you're winning those games, there's a reason for those games being one-run games. It's called your pitching does the work. Your starting pitching, when you have a rotation that legitimately 4 of the 5 starters could be aces on most other teams, that shows you how good they are at the moment. Like, some people still like to say that the Phillies have a better rotation. Some people like to say other teams have a better rotation. I cannot agree at all. So, no, Squash, stop that.
You do not have Ronaldo Lopez. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, buddy. But no, look, Luis Castillo, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, and then Bryce Miller. Just those 4, and then you have Brian. To misquote Scott Steiner, you had Brian Wood in the mix. You have 5 starters that you would feel comfortable on a playoff game, do or die, being on the bump. That's how good the starting rotation has been, and that's why this team is as good as it is. The offense has not been where it needs to be. The offense still very much needs to add at the deadline. But the starting pitching is the reason why they're at where they are right now. And I am absolutely in love with it. Thankfully, guys like Julio have really started to pick it up. He's got a good few homers over the last couple of weeks. Here you have guys like Luke Raley, who is one of the most interesting players in the game right now. The fact that he, to quote, I believe it was Lookout Landing or Stathead, I think it was, said Luke Raley is a bunt.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was from Fangraphs.
Oh, Fangraphs, thank you.
Yeah.
Lookout Landing said, I love my big son, Luke Raley. And I love that article, by the way. Go read it. But, no, it's been so interesting to watch this team play ball. And don't get me wrong, they still have a lot of issues. The offense, very much issue. The fact that you have on your starting 9 right now, like 5 or so players with an OPS below 700 is an issue. That's bad. That's very bad. But you keep working with it, and you have a starting pitching rotation that has been nothing short of excellent, as well as relievers that have been working out well. And you're going to get Gregory Santos back pretty soon too. So now, legitimately, you need 2 things in this deadline. You need a solid impact bat, and you need an extra reliever. You do those, this division is yours.
Seattle, once again, is one of the weirdest teams in baseball. And it's because they play at a ballpark that might as well be in the dead ball era. Julio Rodriguez has a 680 OPS. That is league average for this season, a 100 OPS plus. Cal Raleigh, a 682 OPS, 98 OPS plus. It is just difficult to score runs. It's almost like an inverted Coors, right? If you're a pitcher and you go to Coors, your career goes to die. If you're a hitter and you go to Seattle, particularly a right-handed hitter, your career goes to die. Look at Teoscar Hernandez, who is thriving in Dodger Stadium. And you look at the right-handed hitters throughout Seattle's lineup. Julio is one of the best players in baseball in theory. He's been average this season. Mitch Haniger, below average. Mitch Garver, below average. Jorge Polanco has been horrendous from the right side of the plate. He's injured now.
He's also hurt, yeah.
Yeah. And you have platoon splits with Raleigh and Polanco. It's just a funky place to hit, and it's difficult to generate that. And I think on my bingo card, if I was making a trade deadline bingo card, one of my squares would be Mariners trade for a right-handed hitting player who sucks in the second half because it's Seattle. That would be on my bingo card. And I would expect that to be blotted at the end of the season because that's just the Mariners' shtick. They can pitch, and there's all sorts of great pitching. I can agree. Gilbert's awesome. Castillo's awesome. Kirby's awesome. Miller's awesome. All of them could win a Cy Young or be right in contention for it by the end of the season. But the hitting is going to dictate if they win the division and how far they progress in the playoffs. And Alex, you said the same thing. And I know they're up 8.5 games on the Rangers. 8.5 games on the Rangers, 9 games on Houston. And I don't know. I know they just swept Texas. I think some parts of those teams. Yes, that's true. Some parts of those teams make more sense to me than the Mariners, and the Mariners are definitely I think the one-run game stuff is a little fluky. I think not having a good offense is a little fluky, and because they play in Seattle, I'm
not even going to put the ballpark in question on this because one of the other stats here that I find very interesting is one of the biggest things, if you're playing in a park that is hard to hit the ball in, you would think you'd be low on homers, right? You'd be low on home runs.
Well, Seattle strikes out so much.
Seattle has done so well on the home run ball. And that's where they've gotten most of their runs at, and yet they are still winning. They're the only team in the AL West with a record above 500, with a solid chunk above 500.
Yes,
and from that, they're playing good on the road too. They're not just playing good in Seattle. And that's the interesting bit here.
Yeah.
They've played
I will say
everywhere.
they're 15 games over at home and 3 games under on the road.
I mean, here's my thing is, to Splash's point, they on paper, this doesn't make any sense. They are, you look at their major league ranks, they're 24th in runs scored, they're 25th in OPS, they're 28th in batting average, but they're 7th in the majors in home runs.
Mm-hmm.
What? They
It's
also
just
have
the
struck out more
contact
than any
to
other
power.
team. Yeah.
Shout out to fixing
it's
the strikeout issues.
So I will, they definitely didn't, but I will say I just changed my name on the stream. So if you're watching on YouTube, you now see what I just did. The reason why this is happening, and it doesn't make sense, it doesn't have to, chaos ball. The Mariners have been the bringers of chaos ball for the last few years, and it is so much fun to watch. Because you're right, it doesn't make sense. It's not gonna make sense, but you know what does make sense at the end of the day? The record being what it is. And Seattle that is a stat that cannot be refuted. Is the fact that Seattle at this exact moment is leading the division by 8.5 games, the largest lead that Seattle's ever had on a division since 2003.
So here's, because last year, with the 1-run game stuff, we said this about the Marlins. The Marlins were 19 games over 500 in 1-run games last year. Obviously, I don't expect the Mariners to win every single 1-run game, but I think this is a lot more sustainable because their starters go deep into games. Mm-hmm. It's not like they just wear out their bullpen arms. Last year's Marlins team didn't make much sense because their bullpen wasn't that good. Yeah. But they kept having to pitch 3-4 innings every game. It feels like the Mariners regularly have guys who go 6-7 innings.
Play the league in quality starts.
Yeah, and also, the Marlins offense last year confused me because on paper, I didn't see much talent in their lineup. This Mariners team has talent. They've just underperformed so far. I think once the Mariners lineup gets going, even if the pitching staff does regress a little bit, this is a playoff team. Mm-hmm. Do I see them winning the division necessarily? Maybe. But I think their chances are a heck of a lot better than they were in March. So, anyways, 100%. Yep.
Okay, if we're taking the Yankees and Orioles as the top 2 teams in the American League, are you taking Cleveland or Seattle next? Or Seattle. Kansas City?
I'm going Seattle on this.
Okay. And here's the thing, Seattle's going to be very interesting come October if they do make the playoffs because of the rotation. Mm-hmm. Pitching is something that is sustainable throughout an entire season as well as in the playoffs. And when you have a lot of teams will go down to 3 or 4 man rotations because they can't handle they don't trust their 4 or 5 guys in there. Seattle
you want your ace pitching more often, to be fair, and you have more off days.
This is true. Seattle could go down to a 4 and will be even stronger.
I think at that point, Wu probably goes to the bullpen.
Oh, 100%.
But he still makes the playoff roster. I know that there are times where in the wild card series, your 5th starter gets left off the playoff roster or something.
Marco Gonzalez in 2022, yeah.
Yeah, Marco Gonzalez. I remember Taijuan Walker that year was left off the Mets playoff roster. I think this is definitely a situation where the Mariners carry all 5 starters on their roster and just one of them goes to the bed. But
exactly.
Anyways. I like we were saying, I think the Mariners are in a great spot right now. But we're going to move on to Alex's segment. He's going to talk to us a bit about the Boulder Collegians team that he calls games for. So, Alex, tell us a bit about your Collegians.
Oh boy, the Boulder Collegians have been fun. They have been tearing the cover off of the baseball here, as well as having an amazing pitching staff here. You take a look on the season right now, they are 11-1. Their one loss came against the Fort Collins Foxes before our last podcast was recorded. So again, they have not lost all week. They've been playing amazing baseball, including some amazing hitting performances. And I actually have clips for you guys and for everyone to see this as well. I have a few to show you as well. So pitching-wise, the team has been amazing, led by guys like Zach White and Mason Bright, who have had huge strikeout days, not to mention one TJ Newman, who actually just set the season lead for strikeouts in a game with 8, his last time going 5 innings on it. But I want to show a couple clips to you guys because the power has finally started to come around for the team that was only a speed team a little bit ago. Now has hit homer. They've been doing exceptional in that way. So I'm going to start things off here with one of those home runs. So Isaac Sobieschek, late in one of the games, finally got his first home run of the season. Let me show you this one. 2-2 the count. Here, 4-1 the score. Bottom half of the 3rd inning as Dalconzo ready to go, looking, and the 2-2 on the way. High drive in a deep right field. Going back is Berger, looking up and goodbye! Baseball! Isaac Sobieschek with an opposite field home run to right field. And now it is 5-1 in favor of the Boulder Collegians. Yeah, so Sobieschek, his first homer on the season, absolutely mashed to right. Next up here, I want to show off Chase Hildy getting his first homer on the season. This was, again, later in the game, and showing not just power on this, but the fact that he's able to work outside and be able to just let the ball carry and let the wind take advantage of it. Next pitch on the way is a high drive into deep right center field. That looks like it's going to be extra bases, and that's gone! Line drive home run for Chase Hildy. It's 10-1 in favor of Boulder as Hildy gets a hold of that one and blasts it into right center field. So again, like looking at this, one thing you were noticing as well, that made the score 10-1. So even when they are ahead, they pile on the runs. You never let the foot off of the gas here. Also, there's been amazing defense here as well. Hunter Hirayama is the defensive shortstop for the team, an amazing guy to talk. I'd actually love to have him on the podcast at some time. But pulled off this double play in actually a very clutch scenario. Next pitch from Calcao is a ground ball to Hirayama, and he has a little trouble with it. Takes it to second himself, the throw to first, in time for the double play. Talk about defensive clutch. Therefore, Hunter Hirayama takes it to the bag himself, then over to first for the double play. So Danny Barker moves to third. Benerano is cut out at second, and now there's 2 outs here for Denver in the top half of the fourth. So again, good defense, and then there's 2 more clips I'm going to show here, keeping this quick as well. But we also had the very first grand slam of this season as Diego Castellanos came up after 4 straight batters were hit. Not going to say the pitching wasn't good on this other. It wasn't great. I feel bad for the other guy. He was having a lot of trouble with his command here. But when you have runners on base, Castellanos knows what to do. So Diego Castellanos now comes up. Score is 4-1 here in favor still of Boulder as Valero's next pitch on the way. It's a high drive, deep right field. Get out the rye bread and mustard, Grandma. This is a grand salami. Grand slam home run for Diego Castellanos, and it is now an 8-1 ball game. That ball was smoked. And if so I may or may not have borrowed a call from Dave Niehaus. I love you very much. Again, my hero for broadcasting. But no, this team has been so much fun to watch. And there's one game I want to highlight. It was a game against the Spradley Collegians over in Pueblo at historic Hobbs Field where guys like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig did their barnstorming games back in the 30s. Here, there was one amazing game that at the very end, Boulder was down all the way throughout, going into the top of the 7th. And after a triple from getting the first 2 outs, Chase Hildy hits a triple that gets going, but there's an even bigger play that happens next. Righty v righty, full count. Next pitch on the way is lined into left center field. That's going to be a base hit. Scoring from third is Hildy, as now Williams will stand on at first base with an RBI single, and Boulder is not done yet. It is now 6-5 still in favor of Spradley. Brett Williams, the catcher, with an RBI single gives Boulder another chance, and now the go-ahead
the game
run
going here for
comes
Boulder.
up to the plate.
2 outs. 6-5 now the score.
Brett Williams stands on at first. That'll now bring up Luke Blackman, who on the game is 0 for 2. Hit by pitch, a run scored, as well as a strikeout looking at a ground out. It's righty v righty. What a clutch at bat there by Brett Williams. He's now ready. The first pitch on the way. High drive to deep left center field. Rounding the base number second to first. That ball is gone. Home run for Luke Blackman as he gives Boulder the lead. Oh my, what a shot by Luke Blackman as he demolishes that ball and gives Boulder a 7-6 lead. Yeah, so this has been such an incredible last week here for the Boulder Collegians. Again, that big come from behind win against Spradley here, getting them the 7-6 win as they would go on to shut them down in the bottom half of the inning here. Next coming up, there are a number of games here for Boulder. Coming up is a doubleheader tomorrow here where the team will travel down to Greenlee here, and they will have games at 5 and 7. Mountain Tide followed by a game against Mile High on Thursday. 2 games on that as well. You can check those out on YouTube at the Boulder Collegians Baseball YouTube. But that is it for this this segment, I should say, of It's Not Just a Boulder, it is the Boulder Collegians.
All right, yeah, thank you for that, Alex. It looks like the Collegians are on fire, by the way, and it's great to hear your voice on these broadcasts.
It's a fun time. I love getting to finally do this again.
Definitely
lost my voice a couple of times, but again, it's a good time.
Thing.
That's a very good thing to have.
Yeah, means there's a lot going on. But all right, let's move on to everyone's favorite segment every week, which is trivia. This week, Splash has something prepared for us, so Splash, take it away.
Hello, friends. One cool thing coming up in baseball this week is the Giants and Cardinals are playing at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama. This is the oldest ballpark in America and what's the word I'm looking for? The stomping grounds for some of the greatest Negro Leagues players in history. So I thought, what better to celebrate the game at Rickwood Field than some classic Negro Leagues trivia in the theme of the Schwab Showdown. So there are 4 topics. Each topic has 3 questions. You get 1 point if you answer the first one, 2 points if you answer the second one, and 3 points if you answer the third one. They do get more difficult. To help you, you each get 1 pass. That means the other person must answer. Okay. And you can double pass. So if Alex, you don't know the answer, you can pass it to Mac. Mac, you don't know the answer, you can pass it right back on to Alex. So this is the screw method as employed by You Don't Know Jack. So amazing. The topics today, we have nicknames, teams, miscellaneous, and legends. So Alex, please choose a number between 1 and 5.
3.
Mac?
2.
The answer is 3. So, Alex, you may go first. You have nicknames, teams, miscellaneous, and legends.
Let's go with teams.
All right. Teams. Okay. Your clue. This team, based in Kansas City, was famous for having a certain Jackie Robinson play for them.
As well as a bunch of other players. That would be the Kansas City Monarchs.
That is correct. Alex leads 1-0. Matt, you have nicknames, teams, miscellaneous, and legends.
Let's go with legends.
All right. Legends. This player, with baseball updating statistics to include Negro League stats, is now the all-time leader in batting average, OPS, among other categories.
That is Josh Gibson.
You bet it is.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Mac, you are on the board. All right, back to Alex. You have nicknames, teams, miscellaneous, and legends.
Let's go for teams again.
All right, teams. This team, based in the Washington, D.C. area, called the Homestead Blanks, employed the likes of Josh Gibson.
Oh, that would be the Grays.
That would be correct. Alex leads 3-1. Mac, nicknames, teams, miscellaneous, and legends.
I'm going to go with teams again.
Clear it out. For the third teams one. For 3. This Negro Leagues team was based in Philadelphia.
Oh, God. I should know the answer here. That's the problem. You know what? I genuinely have no clue here. I'm passing.
All right, Alex.
I'm passing it right back to you, Matt. Go for it, buddy.
All right, Mac. The Philadelphia Blanks.
Philadelphia Blanks, man. I know the name of the Pittsburgh team. That's the issue. I have no clue what the Philadelphia one is. I honestly forgot they had a team. Oh my god, the Philadelphia, the dude. I literally have no clue
They
what
played from
what the answer.
1934 to 1948.
All right. Yeah, I know this is going to be wrong. The Crawfords. I know that's the Pittsburgh team.
It's the
But-
Philadelphia Stars, my friend.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
no clue there.
Yeah,
All right.
No, I didn't know it
That
either,
is strike
unfortunately.
one for Mac.
Oh,
All right, let's go Legends.
All right, legends. This player, this Negro League's legend, if you will, came out of retirement to throw 3 scoreless innings against the Boston Red
come
Sox.
on, man.
That would be one Satchel Paige.
That is correct. Alex,
Leroy
you lead
Satchel Paige.
5-1.
All
Mac,
right.
it is back
Give
to
me
you.
give me miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous. Name the field where the Giants and Cardinals are playing this week.
Rickwood Field.
That is correct.
I mean, okay, I was
That
going to make
was-
sure
that
that wasn't
was
a
the
trick
gimme.
question, right? Like,
No. All right, Alex, back to you. You lead 5-2.
You know what? Let's see if we can put the hammer in. See if we can put the nail in the coffin here. Let's go Legends for 3.
oh
All right,
god.
legends for 3. Legends for 3. All right, this Negro Leagues player and manager is in the Hall of Fame. This center fielder, this left-hand hitting center fielder, had a career 184 OPS plus, an OPS above 1,000, and a 365 batting average.
I'm gonna go with Larry Doby.
It is not Larry Doby, sir.
Not
That is
Larry
your
Doby.
first strike. It is Oscar Charleston.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
That tracks. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
that makes sense.
All right, we are through with teams. We are through with legends. You have nicknames and miscellaneous.
Let me go with nicknames.
All right, nicknames. Nicknames. This player, lauded for his speed and ability to get in bed before the light, or turn off the lights and be in bed before the lights turn off, has one of the iconic nicknames in sports history. And as soon as his baseball reference page loads, I will give you his actual name. But please tell me the nickname for one. Oh my goodness. Okay, great podcasting, by the way. My baseball
We're
reference
doing
page is not
absolutely
loading.
great. Yeah.
Yes.
Not your fault. No, not your fault. So.
Yeah. Oh, I need a new laptop.
Baseball Reference does this a lot.
Yeah. it has trouble.
Fangraphs is even worse. Okay. James Thomas Bell, please provide his nickname.
Cool Papa.
That is cool, Papa Bell.
Nice.
All right, it is
go.
5-3. Both of you have one strike. Both of you are without your passes. Alex, it is back to you.
Let's go miscellaneous too.
All right, miscellaneous for 2. Name the city where the Negro Leagues Hall of Fame is.
That would be Kansas City.
That would be correct. Alex, you lead 7-3. Mac, it is back to you. You need a bit of a miracle here. So you have nicknames for 2 or miscellaneous for 3.
Let me go nicknames for 2.
All right, nicknames for 2. Nicknames for 2. I'm once again requesting baseball reference load.
That's asking a lot.
I am once again asking for baseball reference to load.
I agree with you.
By the way, we love your baseball reference. You guys are listening in.
Oh, it's a phenomenal site. This player, known as Norman Thomas Stearns, please provide the nickname, is a Hall of Famer, a 5-time All-Star, and a 2-time batting champ.
Norman Thomas Stearns is his real name.
Yes.
Oh God, I should know this. I'm drawing a blank here for some reason. I feel like this might be a trick question where his last name is something different or something.
No, that's like his.
It's not.
His name is like Blank Stearns. Yes.
Blank Stearns.
Yeah.
What?
Career
Man,
348 batting average, OPS plus
348 batting
177.
average. His name is Stearns.
Yes.
Yeah, I got nothing here.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, that would be your second strike. It is Turkey Stearns.
Turkey. Oh, I should have known that. Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to go miscellaneous 3.
All right, miscellaneous for 3. Please name this Hall of Fame. Wait, was he not a Hall of Famer? Yes, he is in the Hall of Fame. Please name this 2022 Baseball Hall of Fame inductee who played in the Negro Leagues for the Memphis Red Sox and Kansas City Monarchs, also managed the Monarchs, is in the Chicago Cubs Hall of Fame, and is a legendary scout, but most importantly, a legendary storyteller of the game of baseball.
Okay, wait a sec.
Teresa,
I feel like I need to know this one, and I'm struggling a little bit on it.
in his later years, he became a popular and renowned speaker and interview subject, helping to renew widespread interest in the Negro Leagues, and played a major role in establishing the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City. And he is in the Baseball Hall of Fame as an executive.
Okay, then the problem is I have 3 names, and I think it could be any of them. I'm going to go with Rube Foster.
It is not Rube Foster, my friend. That is true. It is Buck O'Neil.
Dang it! It was either Rube Foster or Buck O'Neil. The reason what threw me a little bit on that one is that Rube Foster was most famous for being an executive that basically remade the Negro Leagues the way that it was here. But Buck O'Neil was extremely famous for helping build the museum. So helping build the museum, and dang.
All right.
I almost had it. Dang it.
Alex, you've clinched the dub, but Mac, I will read the final clue for you. This is nicknames for 3.
Wait, what's this?
Alex leads 7-3, and both of you have 2 strikes.
Right. Yeah, okay. What's the last?
All right. Last clue. Monty Irvin, a Hall of Famer, a 7-time All-Star, a 2-time World Series winner, and a 3-time batting champion, has this wonderful nickname that I mention every single time I possibly can on Twitter.
He's a nickname?
Yes.
God, I should know this. I got nothing.
I'm questioning our working relationship.
Yeah, what? I feel like you're gonna tell me and it's gonna drive me insane.
Are you conceding?
Yeah, I'm throwing in the towel. Yeah.
You are out, Alex. Congratulations on your dub. Monty Irvin is known as Mr. Murder.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I know that we're a little bit over here, but can I ask you guys a little trivia question on the idea of nicknames?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. This is one I learned from MLB The Show, so Mac may have an advantage on this one here, but it's on the basis of nicknames as well. Satchel Paige was very famous for giving his teammates nicknames. What nickname did he famously give Buck O'Neil?
That'll have to pass.
Mac, you got anything on it?
I don't.
This was talked about during the last MLB The Show stuff during Satchel Paige's storyline on it, but it was Nancy. He called him Nancy.
Nancy, right. I know that he gave one of his teammates Nancy, yes.
Yep, and it was Captain Buck. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations, Alex. You get the 7-3 dub and a strike 3 of Mr. Mac over there. So good job, pal.
Yeah,
I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Bob Kendrick. Amazing storyteller. Yeah. I would not know near as much if not for his ability to convey the stories that we now get to see today.
Yeah. And also, I think it's awesome that the Cards and Giants are going to be playing at Rickwood Field this week.
100% agree.
I feel like it's a long time coming, and I'm glad they're doing it.
Totally agree. I think like we have baseball holidays, right? We have Memorial Day and the 4th of July. I think we need Rickwood Field games every year, and I think we need Field of Dreams games
I agree.
100%.
So, I don't know what. I mean, you can do Juneteenth for Rickwood Field. I don't know what the holiday would be for Field of Dreams, but I think we and Williamsport have games there every year.
Williamsport. Yes.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, please, when you do the player jerseys for Little League Weekend, please let them have the nicknames on the jerseys.
Yes.
Please, I need Boxberger back.
I need the
pitching.
Boxberger jersey.
I
yeah.
need Boxberger and not Justin.
I need a Julio Rodriguez jersey that just has O going all the way around.
Oh
Here,
yeah.
It just goes Julio.
That'd be pretty nice.
That would be
That'd
pretty
be
sick.
legendary.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Splash. Thanks for putting that together, Alex.
course.
Congrats on your W.
Thank you.
I think I don't know what the score is in our series, but
I think this is
anyway.
only like the second time I've ever won trivia.
yeah, you've beaten me a couple times. I know though.
Yeah.
But
I've
we're
never
gonna-
beaten Splash, but that'll happen eventually.
Well, I haven't beaten him much either.
It has to be. Did he beat me in Mets Braves trivia?
I don't think we
probably-
did Mets Braves trivia.
No,
No,
I
it
do
was,
remember that one of you.
It was
beat
like
me in
famous
Mariner
home runs,
trivia.
and all of yours were Mets against the Braves.
Oh yeah.
I do remember we did like Mariner All Star trivia one time,
Yeah.
and I lost that.
And
And I'm still living that down.
Yeah,
But to be fair, to give us both a little bit of credit on that one, we went down where there were only like 2 left.
yeah.
I think there was only like 1 or 2 left.
That was a
so,
legendary round of trivia.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Good
All
job,
right,
fellas.
Thank you.
We're gonna end this show the way we end every show, which is with the moment to ourselves, which is 60 seconds to talk about whatever's on your mind. Baseball. It doesn't have to be baseball related or sports related even. So, gentlemen, which one of you wants to go first? Alex, saw your hand go up, so your time starts in 3, 2, 1.
So right now, I have been thinking a lot about happiness. And I'm going to just go outright and say this is the first time in a long while I've been truly happy. And why is that? I'm finally back in my element. I've been able to call baseball games again, and I truly feel like I am my best self during it. I have been playing, I've been getting to call games, and it just feels right. There's a photo that was taken of me by one of the collegiate staff, and I can send it to you guys later, but it was me just at the mic, and I looked about as confident and happy as you could be. And I just have felt so much better about myself. I've had so much more energy since getting to do this again. So if anyone ever tells you that there's something out there that doesn't fully tell you, if there's anyone tells you that a job or doing something doesn't make you happy, that person hasn't found what makes them happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I'm glad you're liking it out there.
It is so much fun out here. I love it.
Yeah,
so much.
it seems like it, which is great.
Definitely.
Splash, do you want to go next, or shall I go next?
I can, sure.
All right, your time starts in 3, 2, 1.
So one thing I've learned about myself is that I always look for the best in people, for better or for worse, and I don't know how else to live my life, right? So it can be very stressful when, like, say I have positive and negative interactions with someone, and they might remember the negative ones, and I have to like acknowledge that they might remember the negative ones, and then I'm over here remembering the positive stuff about just about everyone I've ever met, and it's just I don't know, like a constant struggle, I guess, that you want to be fair to people, and perhaps I'm sometimes too fair. So it's just I don't know if that's coherent, but it's something that weighs on me a lot, because there's people in my life that I don't think they don't look at me the same way that I look at them, right? I'll point out, I'll remember the good times, right? I'll remember our conversations, or going out to lunch with them, or what have you, and they might remember a time that I went to bed when they needed to vent to me, or an equivalent to that. So it's just it's always a struggle, and be nice to people.
Completely with you on that one, mate. Like, I understand.
Yeah, same,
All right,
100%.
Matt, you ready?
All right. Yep. All right. You want to count me down?
3, 2, 1, begin.
So as I mentioned at the beginning, I leave for Indianapolis, and actually I'll be there in 48 hours, and I'm really, really excited about this. I feel like compared to last year when I was a last-second entry in the Nationals, this year I've spent a lot more time preparing, and I think we've spoken about this before, but as a former athlete, I feel like you're always going to be sort of competitive, and this is going to be my time to go out and do that, and I think going to Olympic trials is going to be awesome too. This is finally we have a time where swimming is in the spotlight. It comes about once every 4 years, and I think this is going to be great. I've never swam in this pool before. I hear it's amazing. So hopefully all this hard work in the water pays off, because this is the first time in a while I feel like I've had some expectations going into things.
Completely understand on that one, yeah. And honestly, the fact you're still going on it, that's also stupidly impressive.
And you're swimming at Lucas Oil, right?
I'm not actually.
Oh,
so
okay.
We're at the IUPUI natatorium, which is like right across the way. In the past, they've held Olympic trials there for swimming and for diving, but there is a way for you to get in and swim at the trials pool, but it costs them a lot of money. So I will not be doing that.
Yeah, that tracks.
I know it, but I'm sure it's sick.
Indianapolis is a great hosting city, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's. I've been there before for events. It's pretty cool. I haven't been back in a long time, but yeah, looking forward to it for sure. But
try there's a Chicago style deep. Wait, you're a New Yorker. Never mind.
Hold up, I'm a New Yorker.
I want to apologize for my affront. For those non-New Yorkers out there, there is a Chicago style
cheese casserole.
Yeah, there's a Chicago style deep dish pizza place like around the corner from where it's not around the corner from Lucas Oil. Within like a walk. Wait, you need to try the milkshake place. I will text you what the milkshake place is, but you need to try the milkshake place. It is God's gift to humanity. I got an $8 milkshake. It was I don't know if I got the red velvet or if Zach got the red velvet. Gordon's milkshake bar.
I'm getting really hungry now.
Gordon's milkshake bar. I know you don't like the deep dish pizza, but Gordon's milkshake bar, for the love of all things holy, everyone who's watching needs to try it or listening.
I will say I don't mind deep dish pizza. Just as a New Yorker, I feel like it's not pizza.
I'm actually on the same thing. I'm a thin crust guy too.
No. But Gordon's milkshake bar slaps mega hard.
Well, I'll keep that in mind for when I get there. But anyways, that's going to do it for our show tonight. By the way, if you do like deep dish pizza, nothing against you. Just I'm a New Yorker.
As long as you don't put pineapple on it.
As long as you don't put pineapple on it. But anyways, thank you all for listening. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at LAR_baseball. Maybe you disagree with our takes. Maybe you agree with our takes. I don't know. Tell us we're stupid. Tell us we're amazing. At LAR_baseball on Twitter and Instagram. Follow myself at Mathias_A_K. Follow the Splash at Mr. Splashman19. Follow Alex at the Sports Guy 242. And we're approaching summer, so baseball is going to be basically in the spotlight until the Olympics. So get ready for a lot of content from us. But, and make sure to subscribe on YouTube and leave us a 5-star review on Spotify. So go do all that good stuff, or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. But anyways, thank you for listening. Stay safe, and I hope to see you all real soon. Take care.